also known as Bek Melikuziev. 3-0 with 3 knockouts, taking on the man nicknamed the Animal, Von Alexandra, who said, "There's no doubt I will win tonight." He'd been incarcerated for 11 years, has come out, has found his form, and coming off the biggest win of his career, an upset of highly touted middleweight prospect Money Powell. There are the numbers. Von Alexandra slightly taller and slightly longer. Here are the rules for this super middleweight showdown. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count, cannot be saved by the bell in any round, and only the doctor or referee can stop the fight. In case of an accidental foul, we'll go to the scorecards after 4 rounds. Here's Joe Martinez.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds, WBA Continental Americas Super Middleweight Championship on the line. This bout brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions in association with World of Boxing Promotions. And ready to make his way to the ring first, fighting into the blue corner, from St. Louis, Missouri, here is Von Alexandra.
It's Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th, so here comes Jason, and that's a scary man. Now, look, you asked me earlier, what fight am I looking for? I'm looking forward to this fight right here because, look, Bek the Bully only has 3 fights. He is an Olympian. He has that experience, but so does Alexander. He has the pop, he has the experience, and he's coming off a big win with Money Powell. So the momentum, the scary momentum, is going for both fighters, but I like Alexander's chances here. I mean, this is going to be a solid matchup and a good test for the Bully.
Is he scarier with or without the mask on?
Man, he's scary both.
Bernard Hopkins in the house. I'm sure he appreciates the mask. The man nicknamed the Alien at one point. Von Alexandra, look at his last 3 opponents, a combined 31-0.
And his opponent fighting out of the red corner. He is undefeated from Uzbekistan. Here is Bek Melikuziев.
I love that. Look at that. Coming in with the sombrero, Bek the Bully, Melikusiev coming out to Mexican music.
Come on, you're a Mexican American. Is he pandering here? Is he pandering to get the Mexican fans behind him?
He might be pandering, but look, he's feeling it. He's coming in with the sombrero. It is what it is.
So you're drinking that tequila he's selling, huh?
I'm buying it.
You'll drink it after the fight. That's a real pro. Well, he's in for the fight.
Wait a minute. So it switched up from mariachi
and now he's got me on board.
There you go.
Is that Led Zeppelin? I'm in. Well, I think it's a remix. He's got every nationality covered here tonight. But he is from Uzbekistan, now fighting out of Indio, California. And he was the flag bearer at the 2016 Olympics. That is a big honor in his country, for any country, really.
And now, fight fans, we are set to go. Once again, this bout is scheduled for 10 rounds for the vacant WBA Continental Americas Super Middleweight Championship. The 3 judges scoring at ringside, Rudy Barragan, Luis Cobian, and Fernando Villarreal. And when the action begins inside the ring, your referee in charge, Raul Caiz Jr. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trimmed in black, he weighed in officially 166 1/2 pounds. In 18 professional fights, his record, 15 victories, 3 defeats with 9 wins, coming by way of knockout, hailing from and fighting out of St. Louis, Missouri, here is the Animal, Von Alexandra! And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing navy blue, trimmed in neon green, he weighed in 167 1/2 pounds. In 3 professional fights, he is perfect with 3 victories, all 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Here's the undefeated super middleweight fighting out of Indio, California, Bek the Bully Melikuziев.
Chief second only, please. Fighter chief second. Mouthpiece. Mouthpiece. All right, gentlemen, you received the instructions in the dressing room. Know what to expect. Good, clean fight. Legal punches here for you. Legal punches here for you. Touch gloves go out to both of you.
Tyson Fury, the heavyweight lineal champion, came to his last fight wearing a sombrero. He got busted up pretty good in that win. Let's see what happens here to Melicusia taking on Vaughn the Animal Alexander, who was trained by Montel Griffith. Or Griffin, rather, excuse me.
Ready. Ready. Box.
He does have that win over Roy Jones Jr.
Yep. Montel Ice Griffin. And there are R&B artist, Montel Griffin.
Yes, this is how we do it.
I knew you would know it. You're old enough.
Let's see if Alexander can do it tonight. Very confident. Says, this guy's not ready for me. He said, how do you throw a guy with 3 professional fights in there with an animal like myself?
Yeah, Alexander definitely talked the talk with us when we met with him at the fighter meeting. And he said, man, I'm going to show him, Sergio. I'm going to show him exactly, you know, what I have to offer. They shouldn't have taken this fight. And the animal's very confident coming into this fight.
And you talk about a strong-willed individual. Alexander incarcerated for 11 years. He said every single prisoner that was with me broke. They had no willpower like I had. He said, I worked out every day. I couldn't train boxing. I worked out every day, and I knew as soon as I got out of jail, I would get right back in the ring and try and pick up where I left off. And he's done it.
Shows a mental fortitude. I mean, we know he's a strong fighter. He comes from, you know, his brother, Devin Alexander, a 2-time champion. So he comes from that brotherhood, that bloodline. But he shows more than just the skill of boxing, you know, what he's went through in his life, you know, everything he's faced. Nothing's going to scare him.
Scheduled for 10 rounds here. Alexander has never been stopped. 15 wins, 9 knockouts, 3 defeats.
Never been stopped, and for a big puncher like the Bully, he said, hey, listen, to beat me, you're going to need more than power. The Bully also brings that amateur background. You know, he's an Olympian, silver medalist for his country, so. And he had a tremendous amount of amateur fights. I mean, he had 350 wins, 210 by knockout. I never heard of that statistic before. 350 wins, 210 by knockout. Shows you what type of bully he was, even as an amateur. Melicuziев.
Well, we've seen a lot of those Eastern European countries produce so many great amateur fighters, but Sergio, it's very hard to transition to the pro level.
Yeah, because they get that European style fighting, that Olympic style fighting, where it was success to have a good 1-2 punch. But in the pro games, you need body punches. In the amateurs, they don't give you points for body punching. They don't give you points for combinations. It's more of a computerized system where they judge clean punches, like a clean jab is just as important as a combination. Which in professional boxing is totally different.
10 seconds, stop at the bell.
Rather slow start here to this one.
Respectful start. At both men.
Solo es trabajo. Protege los dos.
The first fight,
They call him the prospect.
¿Quién es este chico peludo?
punching less, landing more. The unthinkable just happened. He lost the bout. He gets up.
El orgullo de Guadalajara.
53 fights and a story for the one step closer to making history.
Real fight is yet to come.
Контролируй его переднюю руку, понял? Чтобы он не выпрыгнул на тебя. Как все?
There's Joel Diaz. Earlier tonight we saw Abel Sanchez. Bam Bam Rios in the crowd. Oscar De La Hoya is here. Bernard Hopkins, Sergio Mora. It's a who's who of the sweet science in Indio, California.
Indio and Palm Springs area, it's becoming a hotbed for boxing. Not only great trainers, but I mean, we have great talent coming out of here. International talent from all over the place coming here to Palm Springs, Indio area, and Riverside.
It's always a knowledgeable crowd here as well. Golden Boy constantly bringing fights to this arena.
Yeah, usually it was East LA that was a hotbed. You know, East Los Angeles, that was a hotbed for boxing. But now it's even more east into LA, Palm Springs area.
Nice straight right hand, a sneaky one there from Alexander.
Good left hand by the bully right there. Alexander doing the right thing by fighting at a distance, looking for the counter punches. So Melikusiev is actually fighting really patient right now because he's respecting the power of Alexander. Alexander's a strong puncher. You know, they're skinny power punchers that punch. They don't look like they're punches, but they are. But when it comes to the animal, he looks the part, but he's a strong puncher instead of a one-punch knockout artist.
Another right hand sneaks in there for Alexander. I asked him yesterday if he got into a lot of fights in prison. He said all the time, guys knew about me, knew about my family, and they wanted to step up to me. And I said, well, didn't you have your prison sentence lengthened because of all the fights? He said, well, if you don't hurt them too bad, if they don't have to call the medics, you have to sew them up, they usually just kind of turn the other cheek. So not only did he win every single fight, he never hurt them too bad.
Turn the other cheek. There's a joke there.
Bek trying to come at angles now on Alexander. Kind of a waiting game so far.
I like
that might have hurt Vaughn a little bit. Vaughn says no.
Melikusiev was trying to get an angle earlier. I love seeing that. That takes experience from the bully. You know, he's trying to get an angle on Alexander. Alexander just covering up. So touch the front of the glove just to get an angle with the power.
Alexander keeps shaking his head no. But he is shying away now from the punches of Melikuziev.
See, there's the angle I was talking about. Bek the bully just did that. He got a little side angle to try to land a hard punch, a straight left, preferably by Melikuziev. There it is again. He needs to set it up with jabs. Throw away some jabs to get Alexander to block, and then you can get an angle like that and then punch from there. Very smart and experienced by Melikuziev.
We down two. I just want you to throw your punch just so you get your rhythm. You know what I'm saying? That straight right hand down the pipe when you come forward, then right down, come back with left hook. All right? I know you know what you're doing, but let the hands. All right, let the hands go a little bit more. Let the hands go a little bit more. All right? We down two. Let's go, champ. Put it together. Good. When he starts throwing them shots, remember catch and counter. Catch and counter. Because he getting restless now, so he finna start letting him go. All right, he getting restless. Okay, let's go. Put them together. You gotta start waiting though, all right? Let's put them together. Already know. Okay, let's go. Put them together.
Stay back. Take a step back. Take a step back.
Box. Round 3 between Bektemir Melikuziev and Vaughn the Animal Alexander. Not the firefight we were hoping for so far.
Not in that round, but he knows where he went wrong in the other rounds, in the other fights that he had. Alexander, I think he's going to step it up this one. His trainer, Montel Griffin, wants him to step it up. You know, in his last fight with Anthony Sims, he says he was outworked and his punch output wasn't exactly what it needed to be. So he doesn't want to make that mistake against the bully tonight. He needs to start getting more active, start punching.
Can't win rounds if you don't throw punches.
Good body shot by the bully.
I was right in the belt.
Imagine the things that Vaughn Alexander has seen and heard after spending 11 years in a Missouri penitentiary. He can face adversity. Nothing he sees in the ring is going to intimidate. Good jab there for Bek the bully.
And he told us the first day out of prison, he was straight in the boxing gym. So it showed you exactly what his aspirations were. Look at how Melikuziev is using those angles. Very swift on his feet. For being a bully, he's dancing really nicely on his feet right there. I mean, it just shows how nifty he is. He's a power puncher, but he punches in angles as well. Very nifty on his feet.
Well, he's nifty because he used to be in martial arts. Said he was a karate national champion in Uzbekistan before switching to boxing.
That and he also, you know, he talked about something about dancing as well. You know, so he's good with his feet. He may be a bully, but he's light on them toes.
Maybe he's the Bruce Lee Fred Astaire of Uzbekistan.
The bully ballerina?
I remember your dancing performance. In fact, it was the first main event I ever called, Sergio. Last round, I believe, you pulled out the Latin snake moves.
That's right, with Gregor Prokska. Good 1-2 right there from the southpaw stands, and Melikuziev. Look at that, see those angles. That's what I've been impressed by. As his body frame doesn't show you that he's an angle puncher and a boxer like that, and his 3 wins, 3 by knockout shows you that he's a puncher, obviously, but he's nifty on them feet. He does it from angles as well, and with speed. Very, very sharp puncher, Melikuziev.
You don't see a guy that carries around all that muscle move the way that Melikuziev is moving. You don't see it too often, at least.
That's my point exactly, and that's what I'm impressed by.
10 seconds, stop at the bell.
We mentioned some of the star-studded boxing names in the house tonight. Let's show you some of them. There he is, the executioner, the alien, Bernard Hopkins.
Legend, a living legend in boxing right there.
Still trains like he's fighting, too. And there's Jose Ramirez and Brandon Rios.
Bam, Bam, and Ramirez right there. I mean, those 2 great action-packed fighters and fan-friendly boxers.
And here's the man they came to see and to support, Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Thank you, sir.
Did you get nervous before your fights?
Never. When you're prepared, you're itching to get out there and perform. Because you know you're ready. You already put in all the hard work. The easy part, believe it or not, Todd, is getting in that ring and performing. If you're ready, you get nervous when you're not prepared.
Is that why you were nervous before this broadcast tonight?
You see me laying by the pool with Steve Smoger, right?
Unfortunately, yes. That's because you had no money to spend at the casino. You're going to get it tonight. You'll get it tonight. You always do.
I shall return.
Round 4 scheduled for 10. Southpaw versus Orthodox. How do you have it through 3-4 rounds, Sergio?
I think Melikuziev is controlling the fight, and Alexander needs to step it up because he told us he knows where he went wrong in his losses. I mean, there were losses against really good competition. He's never been stopped, but he gets outworked, and he's getting outworked by the bully right now. So the animal needs to turn it up.
You heard his corner a couple rounds ago say you can't find your rhythm if you're not throwing punches. You got to throw the punches to establish your rhythm.
Yeah, but it's hard to find rhythm when you have a nifty foot fighter like Melikuziev not standing in front of you. You only get that rhythm when you're hitting something, when you're touching something. You don't train to miss punches. You know, you're always hitting something, heavy bag, a sparring partner.
Watch your hands, guys. Careful.
Alexander hasn't been able to land anything.
Let's look at the punches through 3 round statistic. Look at that. 9 punches landed for Vona Alexandra.
And Alexander said this was the problem in his losses. You know, his punch output wasn't there, and he's doing just that right here. But Alexander, I can see why that's happening, because Melikuziev is showing angles, not standing in front of him. You know, a la Vasily Lomachenko type. You know, he punches, gets an angle, punches, gets an angle. And from the southpaw stance, from the lefty stance, it's very difficult to catch up.
You moved around the ring a lot. How tiring can that be, though, especially for someone his size?
No, if you prepare for it, if that's your style, then it's not tiring at all. You know, you're doing that in sparring. You're doing that for 8 weeks. Everyone thinks that moving around the ring gets you tired, and it really doesn't if you do that for a living and you do that in the gym.
Melikuziev with an interesting defensive posture.
Yeah, his hands are low and he gets away with it because of his feet. You know, if he didn't have those nifty feet and he stood in front of him, you know, he wouldn't get away with it. But fighters like that are on their toes, bouncing around, always getting angles, they could fight with their hands low like that.
No, don't push his head back.
And you see it a lot with a lot of boxer punchers. You know, they fight with their hands down. I mentioned Lomachenko. I mean, you know, Tyson Fury, for a big man, he fights with his hands low like that too because he's really light on his feet.
So far, it has been domination by Bek the Bully. Alexander just can't seem to figure him out.
Anytime you're dealing with a fighter that needs to be
10 seconds, step at the back.
planted to land a punch, you know, fighters like Melikusiev are going to give you hell. They're not going to give you time to plant your feet.
Sit for that bell.
Good honesty in the corner.
Mouthpiece.
As Montel Griffin told Alexander he has lost every single round. We are starting the 5th here. It's a round that Bek the Bully has never been in before. All his 3 fights were stopped before round 5. So if Alexander wants to win this by decision, he needs to win every round from here on out.
I don't see that happening because Melikusiev is not giving him a chance to punch. I mean, the output of Alexander, and he was critical of himself. He said, hey, I know when I went wrong in my losses. I may have not gotten knocked out, but I know I went wrong. I didn't punch enough. He's doing just that now.
Does Alexander have the power, in your opinion, to land one shot and change this fight, the trajectory of this fight?
Maybe not the power, but he has the strength, and there's a difference, Todd, because you could be a strong puncher. You could hurt your opponent with strength. With power, you hurt them. They'll be out on their feet, or it could change the entire fight with power. With strength, no, you could still back up and know where you went wrong and not do that again. You get hit by that.
There's a right hand from Alexander. Finally.
I mean, look, it's halfway into this fight. If he can start stepping it up right
There's a big right and a left hook. So Alexander is finally coming alive at least a little bit.
And that's what I was saying. Maybe this was his game plan or strategy, you know, feel them out the first 5 rounds and then step on the gas, you know, midway into this fight. And if that's it, Alexander's doing that. But
that's a long time to feel somebody out. 15 minutes in a boxing ring.
Well, he is a tough guy, right? Alexander is as tough as it gets.
Claudia Trejos now with Joel Diaz.
Thank you, Todd. Joel, what have you seen up to now?
Well, he's having fun in there. He's doing a good job. He's dominating from the outside. He's actually looking for that shot. You know, before the end of the round, he told me I landed the shot, so he's hurt. So he's focusing on the shot again, and he landed it one more time. So right now he's focusing on one thing, just beating him to the body. But Vaughn is protecting his body so much.
Thank you very much, Todd.
Alexander protecting the body, but that's also his defense. He has that cross defense, kind of like Ken Norton and George Foreman had. They cross their arms like that peekaboo cross defense. But that leaves certain sides of your body open when you do that, certain sides of your head as well. If you're going to have that cross defense, you have to have upper body movement, good waist movement.
So a better round for the animal, but not good enough to win it.
Good.
Бек, на канатах настоялся и капнул. Не стой на канатах. Сразу проворачивай его.
Hey, Bek, you need to stay jab. Double jab, left. Jab, more jab. Distract them with a jab. Up and down, and boom, follow.
Левый прямой заходит, поэтому передняя ручка отвлекает, левый прямой, передний.
You see Melikuziev landing a jab from a different angle, coming from the bottom up just to land that straight left hand, but not putting much behind those punches. It was more speed than power. I want to see more of that from the bully going in the second half of the fight. Concentrate on speed and angles.
And for Alexander, it's got to be about timing, does it not?
For Alexander, he needs to throw caution to the wind now. He hasn't done enough upper body movement. Now he needs to get aggressive, come forward, head moving, and start throwing punches.
So the animal needs to be the bully.
The animal needs to be let out the cage, absolutely.
Round 6 scheduled for 10.
Alexander's not jabbing either, so look, whenever you're dealing with a fighter that's moving around like that, you gotta gauge the distance and touch something. Just let the jab out there. It's hard to really corner a fighter that's moving.
Big right hand. That was the best punch of the fight by far for Vaughn Alexander.
And no jab. See Alexander, no jab, just following his opponent around. It's hard to close down the distance if you're not using the jab as a gauge or getting the timing down. So that's why he's stuck on first gear, Alexander.
Well, you heard Joel Diaz saying that Melikusiev knows he can hurt him to the body. Is that why the animal's not throwing many jabs, because it exposes his body?
No, that's not it. It's just how good Melikusiev is boxing. Look, getting those angles. He's not in front of him to throw any punches. So Alexander needs to punch. Big hand
right hand again for Alexander.
Good shot. The bully took it well. See, Alexander finally threw a punch where Melikusiev was going to be instead of where he was at, on the side.
Is the animal slowly starting to figure this guy out? And those may have been the best punches of the fight for Alexander, but Beck handled him very well.
See, Alexander doing what I said he needs to do. Start putting the pressure on, moving his head, use his movement. That's what he needs to do. Put the pressure on physically. Good body shot by the bully. See, like right here, Alexander needs to throw punches just like that.
Right behind the head, careful with that.
Punching combination, start swinging away.
This is the best round by far for Vaughn Alexander. Still 50 seconds to go here in the 6th.
It's the best round by Alexander, which he still might be losing.
Nice job by Melikusiev, working the body, then coming back upstairs with the left hand.
Changing his angles, changing his speed, going from left to right, stopping on a dime. Beautiful boxing by a puncher. So like right there, Alexander should have thrown something. He was in position to throw a punch, and he didn't throw nothing.
Stop at the bell.
Just not enough output by the animal. The big football game will be on Sunday in Miami. On Thursday, it is Miami Fight Night. Andrade versus Keeler for the middleweight title. Tevin Farmer, Jojo Diaz for the super featherweight title. Daniel Roman versus Akhmadaliev for the unified super bantamweight titles. Huge card in South Florida.
Here we're going to see two right hands by Alexander. Right there, that one landed cleanly. The Beast took it well, and there's another one right there. Probably the best round for Alexander, but was it enough to win?
That's my question to you.
I think that the bully still boxed really nicely in that round, and I gave it to him.
Some swelling around Alexander's left eye, getting some attention in the corner.
See Beck right there, going back to the power, going to the body, concentrating on the body, still getting the angles, but punching with a lot more power now.
Through 6 rounds, 19 power punches landed for Alexander, 97 by the Bek.
That's the reason Melikusiev is shining right now, because not only with speed, but with power.
So what does this performance tell you about the future, the immediate future of Melikuziev?
It's a bright future. I mean, anytime you're an Olympian, like a silver medalist like he was, you know, you're curious what how he's going to transition into a pro. But with 3 fights in, fighting experienced fighters just like this and controlling them, I mean, sky's the limit for the Bek. Bright, bright future.
And it's interesting, you look at Melikuziev, he looks like he's 40 years old, but he's only 23, Sergio.
I don't think he gets that old.
What about me?
I think he's ancient.
Well, he doesn't fight like he's only 23. So much amateur experience. That shot stings Alexander.
And he came from an angle. Those always hurt the most. It's punches you don't see coming. And the angles that Melikuziev is punching from, Alexander's not seen those punches come.
You okay?
I asked you earlier if Melikuziev would start to slow down his bouncing around the ring, but seems to be speeding up, dancing around, laughing. Look at him.
That's Alexander that's slowing down. And it's really impressive with the body frame that Melikuziev has. You wouldn't think he would be so swift on them toes, but he really is.
Blood, a little cut now on the left eye, it appears, of Melikuziev, probably from that headbutt. You know, when Alexander does throw, he's connecting more times than not.
Well, he should have got the timing and the distance now. By now, it's 7 rounds in. It's been Melikuziev landing and throwing everything. So Alexander should have the timing and the distance down by now.
Seconds, stop at the bell.
But he should throw more punches. He's not throwing them. He's just following the man around. Just one single shot, 2 shots. Not a good look for Alexander.
Coming up next, it is our co-main event, Alberto Machado and Luis Perazo. Lightweight division scheduled for 10. Machado moving up a weight class after consecutive losses to Cancio.
You see headbutts, 2 different headbutts. Accidental headbutts right there, and that's probably, not that one right there, but that's probably where that cut came from Melikuziev. And later in the round, we're going to see another clash of heads. And you get that when you're dealing with a lefty and a righty. Total, that's an accidental headbutt right there, and that's probably what cut the bleeding from the bully.
Cool. Let's go, seconds out, mouthpiece in. Stay back, stay back. Stay back, stay back. Box.
Well, Melikuziev going deep into this fight. He's never been in an 8th round. Good for him.
Very good for him. Especially, look, Alexander's never been stopped. You know, so he's been with the better competition. So it's about time that Melikuziev, even though he only has three professional fights, this is his 4th, he had that amateur pedigree. He's an Olympian, a silver medalist. So they're going to move him faster.
Counter right there for Alexander.
So it's the right opponent at the right time, and he's going to go some rounds with Alexander. So it's a good look all around.
Let's see if Alexander starts to show some desperation here.
Desperation's the right word, because he needs to show it. Caution to the wind. He already got the distance down. Just punch away now. Punch away. Fling those arms wherever his head's gonna be, not where his head's at, because Melikuziev has been doing a great job getting in angles and using his feet to get in angles. So Alexander needs to punch where his head's gonna be at.
Alexander, oh, that looked like an intentional headbutt.
Watch your head. Stay right there. Okay? You got to be careful.
From my angle, what did you see?
Yeah, that looked a little bit more intentional. I still don't think.
Be very careful with you do that again. I'll take a point away. Here we go.
I still don't think it did it on purpose, but it's suspect. And that's the reason referee Raul Caiz Jr. said they're going to take away a point if he doesn't again, accident or not.
Oh, nice left hand, which buckled the knees briefly of Alexander.
Because he got an angle. Melikuziev gets these angles and throws those body shots, those power shots from that angle. have double the force when you're doing from a southpaw angle from the side.
So if you're Joel Diaz, are you pushing Melikusiev to try and get the finish here, or are you just going to ride this thing out?
No, I would do it, but with speed, not power. Look, see right there, Vaughn already got the distance down and the timing down, so now you just got to do it with speed. So if you are going to get the stoppage, do it with speed, not power. Because if you miss one power shot, you fall off balance and into the hands of Alexander, which is what he's waiting for.
You got a cut, Mark. Middle of the forehead, blue
Left
corner.
hand lands for Bek the Bully.
Speed and pot shots if you're the bully.
Headbutt.
Olympic silver medalist at the 2016 Rio Games.
Just like that. See, he's peppering him away. No power there. That was a power shot there, but he's just flicking away with the shots.
Alexander's applying the pressure, but it's not effective aggression.
Stop! 10 seconds. Stop at the bell. Box.
2 rounds to go in India.
Here we see Alexander. Alexander started early in this round with a good right hand right there, because like I said, he got the timing down from Melikusiev, but it's the headbutts that were the problem here in this round.
And there's the headbutt where it appeared Alexander just lunged in. Let's bring in Steve Smoger, our Hall of Fame referee. What did you see?
That was, I don't think it was intentional, but Raw controlled it by indicating he would take a point next time. I think Vaughn's a little bit desperate. He knows he's woefully behind.
I agree with Steve. I don't think it was intentional, but from that angle right there, it looked like he actually led with that head.
Well, it's interesting that it wasn't a headbutt as in the forehead to the head. It was the crown of his head.
And it's funny, Raul Caiz Jr. came to us right now and said it was borderline accidental. Like it looked like it was intentional, so it was too fast to judge. So Steve Smoger thinks that it wasn't. Raul Caiz says it was borderline. I think it was borderline as well.
Round 9 scheduled for 10. Alexander has a lot of work to do. He needs a knockout. He had a first round KO earlier this year and had a 7th round stoppage 2 years ago, but none later than that. He needs late drama in India.
Something about bald-headed fighters that, you know, you just associate with headbutts. You know, Tim Bradley was guilty of that, Evander Holyfield. Now we see Vaughn Alexander here. They're not intentional, but I wonder if they practice it.
That would make them intentional.
Watch your head, guys.
True. Not if you're hiding them well.
Well, it's still intentional. It may not look intentional, Sergio. It's like when the ref's not looking, you throw a quick low blow.
No, that's intentional. Because you're going low.
But not if you hide it well, according to your logic.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So if you're doing it on the opposite side of the referee where you can't see it, there you go.
It's not cheating if you don't get caught.
And you know who else did that excellent? Is the man that's here, Bernard Hopkins. Anytime the referee was on the right side, he would throw hip shots to the left side of his opponent. Alexander
miss.
Momentarily turning southpaw there and swinging a miss.
Getting some whistles, a few boos here at the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino.
I didn't expect to see this by Melikusiev, especially when you have a 3 wins, 3 knockouts. You expect power punching, but he's been swift and boxing on his toes, feinting, getting angles. Very, very, very impressive performance.
Who has a better chance of making a comeback? Vaughn Alexander here, or you on the roulette table tonight after last night's disaster?
Don't call it a comeback, Todd. Me all the way. My money's on the Latin Snake. And yes, I spoke in the third person.
The crowd wants action. Melikusiev doing his best to give it to him.
See, that was a chopping right hand by Alexander to the back of Melikusiev's head, but it was a total accident right there. That's the reason the referee didn't say nothing, and Melikusiev didn't complain.
Vona Alexandra told us his last fight he didn't throw enough punches. He didn't throw enough punches tonight. He's 36 years old. What's his future look like in your eyes, Sergio?
Well, look, he has lost decisions to good fighters. You know, Dennis Duglin was one of them. Anthony Sims Jr., who's a very bright prospect. But not throwing punches is a sign of age. And at 34 years old, we'll see if he gets another chance.
36. And yes, he is 34, Sergio. You were right.
Last round, champ.
For what?
Everything goes. Walk to his man.
It's rare I'm right with numbers.
All right, everything you got, champ. Last round, touch up. Champ, everything you got. Walk to his man. The man is tired. Walk to his man and throw punches, all right? Give me 3 rounds. 3 minutes. Throw punches. Throw punches, all right? Throw punches, man. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Hold on. Go, bully. Let's go. Left round. Oh, sorry.
Can I get down?
Hey, you're good. You're good. Hold on. You good? Wait.
Final round.
Go, bully. Let's go.
Touch glove, guys. Last round. Touch glove. Good job. Here we go. Knocks. Clean.
Well, let's see if Vona Alexandra can pull off a minor miracle. Returned to the ring in 2016 after a 12-year layoff, 11 of those years spent in a federal penitentiary, won his first 7 fights. But tonight, he just has not shown enough.
No, he hasn't. And after our fighter meetings, he criticized me on me being tough on him in his fight with Anthony Sims Jr. He says, hey, look, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show you this time, Serge. I'm going to go into this fight and show you everything. But look, I'm going to say it again. He hasn't shown anything into this fight. Going to the last round, you know, he needs to let them punches fly. I think it's a one-sided fight by Melikusiev.
Shot right on the crown of the head for Alexander. He does have 9 KOs and 15 wins, but not really a one-punch knockout kind of guy. That's kind of what he needs, though. Let's see how aggressive Melikuziev is here in the final stanza. Well, you're disappointed in what Alexander has shown. What about Melikuziev?
I thought he showed things I didn't think he possessed. You know, like the footwork, the angles. You know, I love seeing southpaws that punch from southpaw angles like that. And for a big man like the bully, for him to be able to do that and punch with speed and power, I mean, it was impressive. Very impressive, actually.
Looks like he's trying to land some big power punches as we count down the clock.
It looks like he's trying to close the show.
This crowd would love to see it. They're getting restless.
And Alexander leading him with his head right there. I think that was intentional right there.
The left eye of Alexander almost completely swollen shut. Ooh, nice left. Alexander keeps shaking his head no, but the punches are landing. They're landing hard.
Melikuziev just painted a pretty picture tonight. Going 10 rounds, sliding off that canvas, just nice paint job on his part.
And that will do it. 4-0. That will be the record of Melikuziev. The first time he went the distance. What grade do you give him?
Look, I love footwork. I love movement. I love boxing. I like angles. I mean, it was just I didn't think he had all that in him. I thought he was more of a power puncher, you know, judging off his record and the fighters that he's fought. But that was a really impressive performance, B+. You know, if he could have put the punches together a lot more as far as combinations, getting them more cleanly, then it would have been even more impressive. But the footwork was very, very, very nicely done and executed. He tried to get the angles and the power to squeeze in through, but ultimately he couldn't do it.
Let's show you some highlights from this one. There aren't many to look at least from Alexander's point of view.
Yeah, and like I was saying, if you're Melikusiev, I mean, he did what he had to do. He's punching from different angles, looking for an opening. But sometimes you need your opponent to help you with that power. You need your opponent to actually open up himself out by punching. You want him to punch so you can counter in between the openings and the shots right there. But when Alexander is not throwing, it's hard for Melikusiev to land those shots and those hard counters that he was so desperately looking for. But the performance was there, the angles was there, the speed, the IQ. This is an impressive performance. He just couldn't get Alexander to dance with him and throw punches back.
So the man who had roughly 360 amateur fights, winning 210 of them by knockout, has gone the distance for the first time as a pro. There are the Diaz brothers, all smiles, as the future looks very bright for Bek the Bully. Here's Joe Martinez.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. All three judges agree 100-90. Your winner by unanimous decision. He is still undefeated. And now the WBA Continental Americas Super Middleweight Champion, Bek the Bully Melikusiev.
Well, they want to put him on the fast track. How fast would you send him towards the title shot?
Well, you never know. Nowadays, you're getting these Eastern European Olympians, especially when they medal. You know, they can get title shots before 10 fights, so I can see that with Melikusiev.
Not a real challenge tonight, as the numbers show. Only 34 landed punches by Vona Alexandra. Sergio, you're not great at math. Let me break this down for you. That's only 3.4 punches landed per round for Vaughn.
I'm not good with numbers, but I'm good with interviews. And Alexander said his output was disappointing in his losses. Well, this is another loss, and he's going to be disappointed again.
429-83. No wonder Melikusiev couldn't get a knockout. Alexander was playing defense the entire
time. That was my point, Todd. That's exactly my point. That was just anemic numbers by